Hi everyone, we have a really interesting vehicle tour for you today. This is a 2012 Ford Flex. Very interesting SUV or wagon, whatever you want to call it, and not one that you see a lot of people camping in, so I was very interested in this particular build, this particular setup. We're meeting with Graham, who is, he has a PhD, he's an anthropologist. He started something called the National Vehicle Residency Collective, and we'll have him talk more about that at the end of the video, but he works with people who live and travel out of their cars, and very interesting stuff. They just did a summit, a virtual summit. But first, let's cover his rig and all the setup and all the gear he uses and everything like that.
Hi, welcome to my Stealthy Ghost build. This is a no-build build, no screws used. I've made it so that I just took out the middle seat of my 2012 Ford Flex so that I can put it back in later on. This is my bed, obviously. I got the Ford Flex because I'm 6'3", and this will allow someone my size to be able to sleep in here. This is a inflatable mattress from REI. It's one of these green deals. That's green and gray. It's got a memory foam top, super comfortable. I love this thing. I just got a this is I think a cot mattress cover, right? Cot cover and some sheets and a bunch of different layering of sheets. This is my down comforter blanket. That actually, it's one of the it's like a it's like a sleeping bag, but it's actually built like a comforter, and it's got buttons down the side, so it allows you to button it around. And what I do is I button it around the bottom of the bed, so it actually sort of makes the bottom of the bed wrapped up like a sleeping bag. Super warm. And I built the whole thing actually to be stealthy so that I can park overnight in the cities, because I'm an anthropologist who works with people who live in vehicles, and I spent a lot of time going into cities working with policymakers and parking programs and interviewing people who live in vehicles. So I wanted it so I could make it super stealthy. So I got these blackout curtains and ran this line all around. So when I get into a spot, I can just take my curtains, bam, toss them in, toss like this one over here. You can see how this works, right? Makes it all nice and blacked out. Within about 30 seconds, I can like climb from the front into the back and have this entire thing blacked out, which is pretty rad. So now let's look underneath the bed. This is one of the nice things. I built this way so that if it's raining, I can get into my pantry and do some cooking if I need to. So I kind of push this thing like this. This is my bed platform. It's a 3/4 inch plywood that's on two, I use door hinges because they're super strong. It's a sort of S, so it's actually 3 pieces of plywood that kind of have double hinges. And then I put this all the way up. Let me put this up for a sec. Got this carabiner I just use right like this. Just right in like that, and that'll hold that thing up. And then I can get into my pantry. Down here I've got way too much food right now and way too much junk food because often I'm actually parking near stores. So I don't know why I carry as much food as I do, but I think it's just in case you know, I ever need it. I've got a swamp cooler thing down here. Works really awesome. On a USB, you put your water in the top, it blows out, it disperses it and blows out basically humidified air. Make sure you have your screens open, of course, but like on 100-degree days, this will keep you nice and cool. Got all my boxes and my food stuff down here. Actually, I've got my, this is my Hulkman battery starter, right? So if my battery ever dies, I got that. Down in here, I got my first aid kit, pairs of shoes, extra stuff. But for the most part, this whole setup right here is what is really just a platform for my bed. These poles, this whole system is, this is just from Home Depot. These are like the $20, $25 basic Home Depot metal racks. They happen to fit perfectly underneath where I have my platform up to go to the back platform. I'll show you in a sec how that works. And then you'll see like they pop up over on this side because they sort of, they're molded in to fit the contour of the inside of the car. So I have them pushed down a little bit, and I use one to kind of hold my paper towels on up here. Keep some spices underneath here. These are magnetic little spice holders, so they kind of keep them tucked in there. A little bit of wipes and toilet paper, whatever you need. Just a little shopping thing. Got my 5-gallon military grade water jug back here. This thing's actually pretty awesome. This is super helpful for anyone who hasn't ever seen one of these. These are great. This is a garden sprayer. This is wonderful for washing your dishes. So whenever I need to do my dishes or whatever, you just take that thing and that sprays out a little bit of your water right there. So this thing is super, super awesome for not using a lot of water, and not using a lot of paper towels, actually, when you want to clean up your dishes real quick. So I've got a broom that my wife made me, my witchy wife made me, as her craftiness, that I keep to kind of dust out the inside. But I also have it's a USB powered double filter water pump that I'll use for this. And I basically just drop that water pump into this, and I'll pump water out from this into my, little half-gallon jug. And then I also have a 1 gallon jug, two 1 gallon jugs that I keep up top too. So I'll use one for ice or one for just keeping water in. I'd have extra water, but basically I can carry 7 gallons of water when I want to go off grid. On this side, I've got the refrigerator right here. This is an Iceco Go 20. I've had a lot of success with this refrigerator. The company is great. They've been really great around customer service. I've actually had to swap out this refrigerator before when I first got it. I had some problems with it. But this is a great unit. It's, for anyone who doesn't know, it runs off 12 volt. It's got a splitter, so you can have a freezer and a refrigerator. I actually just keep it at 29 degrees and use it as a single refrigerator. So it basically keeps everything about freezing cold. You can actually, I've got a little thermometer in there, 33 degrees, right? Keeps it just above, which is nice because my soda pop cans don't pop. And so it makes sure that they don't actually freeze, but keeps everything pretty well. And I just really keep it just for like cheese, meat. I'll do dairy-free milk. I take, one of the things I'll do is I'll use packets of instant milk and get a little off Amazon. For those of you who are lactose intolerant, here's a big tip for you. Off Amazon, you can buy a little dropper of lactase. I think I have it in here. I do. Lactase in enzyme drops, okay? This stuff is like 14 bucks. It'll last you all year. You have to keep it refrigerated. But what you do is you drop it says how much it is, but it's like 10 drops for like a gallon of milk. The thing is that lactose-free milk, it still has lactose in it. They put in lactase to neutralize the lactic acid. So this will allow you to make lactose-free milk, right? So what you can do is then you can use instant milk packs like this, right? You get your instant dry milk, right? Then I take a little, I don't have one on me right now, just a little plastic container, put the water in and mix this, drop about 5 drops of this in, and you've got lactose-free milk. Perfect. At about at a quarter of the price of what lactose-free milk is, because it's actually super expensive if you're lactose intolerant like I am. This is, I use when I'm in the car and I don't want to set up my propane stove, which I'll talk about in a sec, I have a little water boiler. I love this thing. Got this off Amazon for, I think, 30, 40 bucks. This is actually my second one. The first one I had didn't have as good of a top, and it didn't have this little open thing. Runs off a little 110 cord. So this is a 300 watt water boiler. So I plug this into my Blue Eddy 544 watt hour, I think it's a 733 max wattage solar power station. And so this runs no problem on that. This will boil water in 3 to 5 minutes, which is absolutely awesome. And so it uses almost no battery because it's at 300 watts, but it's like 3 minutes, so it's not a problem, 4 minutes. I'll use this. This will make me about a half of a cup of coffee. So I'll do 2 of these to make a nice big pour over cup. But this works really, really great for boiling water and stealthily inside the car because obviously nobody can tell. And this little thing on top will just makes it so that it lets off the steam. It's really important when you do this, if you're going to get one of these things, that you have it in a spot where it can get wet. So because of that, steam will be a little wet. So I'll use something like this that has a little bit of an indentation just to kind of collect the water underneath. So for the flooring, again, because this is a no-build build, I wanted to make it easy so I could put the seats back in, and I didn't want to take away my bolts, right? And because I also didn't want to cut them out, it left these big old bolts in the bottom. So what I did is I got a couple of these knee pad deals that you can find like for the gardening store, and actually that fit right around the bolts. So I put it like that, and it kind of holds it like that. And then these are just basic like mats. You can get these at Home Depot. They come in like a set of way more than you need. But I think I have like I think I used 2 here, one on this side and one on the other. And it basically just makes it, not only is it nice and comfy so I can kneel down and not poke my knee with one of these big old bolts, and gives that little bit of cushion, but it also keeps down the wear and tear on the actual vehicle so I don't tear things up. And then I put this carpet on top, or this rug on top. I think it was off Amazon, $30, something like that. I got the one that was rated as the softest, most comfortable rug, and it is. This thing is like just plush. I love it. It's super comfy, and it just makes for a nice little spot when I'm in there. I really don't spend a lot of time in the back except to sleep. So, but if in the morning I get up and I want to make, you know, a meal, or at nighttime I want to make some food before I go to bed, I do have a little spot where I can like kneel down and like do a little cooking and stuff. Here you can see the back side of the car. This is I built this storage box. Actually, my dad and I built this storage box out. He's a carpenter for many years and helped me to build this little simple thing. Again, using 3/4 inch plywood, so it's nice and secure. This is where actually I keep my Blue Eddy. Right, so this is where the battery is, and again, because I do a lot of my traveling in the city, I have a lock on this box, so it keeps it secure. Of course, it's not, you know, like, I mean, if you really wanted to get it in this thing, you could, but it protects from a snatch and grab, and it allows me to just to have some basic, you know, sort of comfort level. I do keep my propane tanks in here with a bunch of holes built in here, just to keep them secure and kind of have them braced so that they don't like get blocked. I am a bit concerned. I wonder sometimes, I worry about that, but I've never seen, I have a thermometer that I keep in here, and it never gets up that hot in here, so I think it's safe. I hope it's safe. I don't know, so we'll see on that one. This is not legal advice. Okay, so I put a little Corian top. My dad and I did put a little Corian top up here. Just gives me a little spot to, when I cook my food, this is where I boil my water at and everything. That's just nice. And actually what it does is it creates a little shelf to put into the back left window, because of course, for those of us who stay in our cars, you know, you can't see out the back left window anyway when you're driving your car. So I figure, hey, what a great spot for a little spot for containers for my snacky doodles. I got some Hostess treats in here. I got some cereal. I got some cups and some plates. And then down here, actually, I have my solar panels. So I actually have, even though I built this out to be super stealthy, I do carry around 220 solar panels. So when I come out here to the RTR or to other spaces where I can actually set up a tent for a while, I can actually plug in my battery and go off grid. The way though I normally run it is that the Blue Eddy has, I run this line, which goes into the car. I don't want to pull my bag out here. Actually, so you can see it, but it goes right in like that. Okay, so the cool thing about the Ford Flex is that this is an always-on output in the back. It never turns off with your keys off. But, of course, the downside of that is that that will kill your battery and make it so that you can't start your car, which is why I got this thing. And actually, it's got the red light on right now because I undid it and it has turned off, which is a good sign. So what this does is this will shut off the charging from the car battery to charge the Blue Eddy when the car battery gets to 12.4 volts. And that will keep it so that I don't ever have problems with starting my car, and that's really important. And I've had it happen in the past. This is like 20 bucks, 15, 20 bucks. It's Coolatron. It kind of got smashed in my door at one point, but Coolatron is what it is. And what this is actually, it's a, it is built to do what it does. It's a battery cutoff device for a refrigerator, right? So if you do a search on Amazon for a refrigerator battery cutoff device, that's what this is, and it works great. It's perfect, and basically what this allows me to do is, right now it's on red because I undid it and put it back in, so it reset the circuit. But as soon as I turn on the car, this will go green, and basically within 1 hour of driving my car, it will top off the Blue Eddy. So it'll keep that thing, when I'm driving, that Blue Eddy's running, is basically topped off all the time, and then that's running my refrigerator, because my refrigerator has no problems running. When I go off grid, that Blue Eddy will run the refrigerator for about 3 days, and it will also charge off this. So if I just run the car for an hour, it'll charge it back up. If I want to completely go off grid and I don't want to drive the car, that's when I pull out the solar panels, and that's when I'll hook up my 220 solar panels, and that'll keep this thing topped off all day, no problem. So that basically I can be completely solar powered up anytime I want, and also still be able to be very, very stealthy when I'm in the city. The way I set these up is actually on top of the car. I have one of these cargo boxes, and I just sort of like put it up over the top of it. I kind of climb up on the side, boom, and put it up over the top. And then that allows it to kind of have the angle too, to get the right angle on the sun. I use these cool little things that this guy was selling at a farmer's market up in Washington. They're called Abadabs. They're super awesome. It's basically, you know, it's a bungee cord, and it's got these two, you know, ties on it. But what it allows you to do is, you know, you can like tie around, you know, like a, you know, like your blankets or something like that, or whatever, you know, your bundle of your, I don't know, your kitchen appliances, whatever you want to put in. And then you can, like, you know, tighten it up like that. And then this piece, because it's got one side that comes out, you then can put this around, you know, something like this, right? So you can hook it right on. So what I'll do is I'll put this around into the eyelet holes of my solar panels, and then attach that right onto like these. Right now, it's not super secure, but it basically holds it in place for any amount of wind that comes through. If heavy wind comes down, I take down my solar panels anyway, so, because I don't want it to get messed up. But it keeps them nice and secure. Otherwise, I keep everything that's up here. That is, I have an 8-person tent that I'll set up when I'm actually out in the desert. I have like a 2-burner Coleman stove, a little bit larger table, one of those inflatable couches that you do the wind thing, you know, it kind of looks like a big tube that you wind up. Anyway, I've got all that kind of stuff that I keep up here, and then I don't access it at all when I'm in the city. So that's, again, how I keep it kind of stealthy. But then once I'm out here, I basically open it all up, and actually, I don't know if you want to turn around behind, you can see there's actually my tent, right? And it takes about 20 minutes to set up, actually much easier than it looks. And that's a Coleman Octagon 98. It's about, I think it's under $200 on Amazon with the rain fly, which is just a killer deal. It's up to 35 mile an hour wind resistant, which is really important for out here in the desert. And it has the bathroom bottom too, so it's good. It is totally rainproof. I've used it up in Washington, and it's great for the rain up there. It's great for down here. Again, it takes about 20 minutes for me to set up by myself, and it's 7 feet tall. So as a 6'3" person, I can stand up inside there. I can do all my cooking and everything when I'm out here and kind of have a home base. One of the most common questions that people have, of course, is where do you go to the bathroom? We all have to do it. Let's be honest. Let's talk about it now. I'm not gonna get in the nitty gritty because I'm not gonna open up and, you know, be too open and exposing about what I'm using, but I'll show you some of the main stuff, and it's really helpful. One of the things I learned early on, for those of you who are using your bathroom in your car, is that it stinks, and you don't want that. And one of the things I found was if you just get one of these basic little 1-liter waterproof bag, this thing, again, I'm not gonna get too much into it, but this thing basically opens up. It's waterproof. What I do is I actually keep some Clorox, like, you know, cling gel stuff to wash out my bottles. And then what I use is these style medical bottles, right? And they work really good for a guy, for men. My wife has used one with the Shiwi. And then I just basically keep it in here and then seal that back up. And because this is a waterproof bag, it means it's also, of course, airproof, and makes it so that it doesn't stink, which is awesome, right? And so then that way you keep all your bathroom in there. And it's great also, you know, because then I can take this in here. I got my Abadab, you can see my little deal. I keep this tied up right along top and have it just kind of hanging there, so it's easy access, but keeps it out of the way. And then whenever I get to a truck stop, I'll just take this on into the bathroom and then empty it out. Nobody can tell because I'm just basically bringing in my little bathroom bag, so works really well. Highly recommend. Real simple buy. You can find one of these things at like a thrift shop or anything like that, and it's a real game changer. I also, for when I gotta do number 2, now, again, I'm parking most of the time inside the city, so I can go to a bathroom, and I'm lucky enough to be young enough and have my control enough that I can hold myself, hold the bathroom, so I don't need to go all the time. But so I'll normally just try to find a porta potty or Starbucks or something like that. But if I'm out here, if I'm off grid, boondocking, and I like say I have my tent set up, I have this deal. This is the Trip Tips Outdoor. This thing's actually pretty cool. I don't think I'm going to open it all up to open it because it's kind of a pain in the butt to put back together. But basically, it's sort of, this sort of goes in the bottom, and it's got this fold out, like kind of cantilevered system. I don't want to take this out because it's really hard to get back in there. But basically this thing turns into a bucket about that tall, about that big around. And it will hold, I think it's 400 pounds. And then it's also, you put your of course, bags inside, and it's got, anti-smelly stuff in there or whatever. But it works pretty well, particularly for like the tent, because I'll put up a divider down the middle of the tent, and then I can have one side as like a kitchen sort of hangout area. Then I can use the back side for actually to have a toilet for myself, a nice little private space. Also in here, some of the other gear that I'm using. I use, so I've got my emergency band radio, that solar panel. I love this thing. I listen to the radio all the time when I'm going to bed. Local radio stations, and of course, it charges off the sun, which is super awesome. I use this. This is one of my favorite little deals, actually, like this way. This goes actually on your steering wheel. You turn your steering wheel upside down, so you have this big open area here. This thing goes like this, and it slides up from the bottom, kind of goes under, and then it tilts in like that. And then I can sit in here, and I can put my laptop right on here. I just like move my chair back a little bit. My refrigerator's back there, so I don't want to crush the refrigerator. But I'll put my laptop in here, and then I can do work or something like that. It works pretty well for a little portable desk. Normally when I'm driving around, I have a Viofo dash cam, so I can get 60 FPS of 2K videos as I'm driving around for security, but also for my own shots, for my work. I keep my phone recorded up here. Otherwise, I try to keep the front pretty clean. I mainly just kind of keep like clothes and stuff in the front so that it's doesn't make me a target for theft. And just a bottle of water and some food next to me when I'm driving along. So a couple other things to show back here. One thing is I got this jug. It's pretty good. It was a little bit pricey, but they had a good deal on it on Amazon. But it's basically, it's a stainless steel 1 gallon jug. And this works really great for filling with ice because it'll keep ice cold for like 72 hours. And so when I run into town, I can just fill this thing up with ice when I fill my jug up with my 5 gallon jug up with water. And then I don't have to like worry about keeping any ice in here. I can have a nice cold soda whenever I want. I actually got 2 of these so that I could fill the other one up with water and just kind of have like a gallon of water whenever I want. So always good to have more water than not enough. And I keep a little burner right down here. So here this is actually a butane and propane. So it takes little butane canisters that go in there, but I actually use little propane canisters that you saw in the back. And I can just set that up right here like this. Actually, I have a little board that I'll normally put it on. Move, of course, all the curtains and stuff out of the way. And I use, I have these screens that I use on the windows. You've probably seen these things before. There's a ton of different manufacturers. They're super cheap. They're basically just elastic screens, and they go right over the windows, and then that way I open it up 3 or 4 inches. I put those little aftermarket plastic deals that go on the outside of the window, these things, right? And so then that'll kind of take the rain off of it, so I can have it open during the rain. And if I can still have it open with that slot, you still can't see in. So it's nice, so I can actually have it open for like an inch, get some decent ventilation with the screens on, the bugs don't come in, and I can cook in here during the rain without actually getting rain on in the cart, which is pretty great. And then the last little thing I have is one of these screens. This is one of these, this is a big old square screen that's got like magnetic bars that go around the edges, and then this actually goes right on top of the car. So it goes like this, right over the moonroof. And so I'll do, or the sunroof or whatever that is, right? Just put that right over like that, boom, boom. Obviously across the whole way, I don't need to do it, and then open it up, and then that gives me a nice little screen on the top. Sometimes if I'm really stealthy, I'll actually do it on the inside and kind of tuck it on the inside, and then that way you can't even see it from the outside, which is pretty great, but kind of tricky and hard to do. And then the last thing is, sorry, I guess I said that was the last thing. There is one more last thing. There's always more last things. Show you one of my favorite things before I do it. These glasses are great if you're sleeping in your car. They have mirrors on it, so you can actually, they reflect up. So whatever you're looking at, if you can see in there, you can see my hand right here, right? Because they point down, right? Because they've got these reflectors. So if you're sleeping in your car and you're going like this, you can hold your phone and play on your phone and not actually have to hurt your arms or your neck or whatever. So actually, these things are actually pretty cool. Now the last thing is I use this little deal here. It's actually strapped up in my Abba Dabba. Again, this guy didn't pay me, I swear. I just love that little product. I got this again off Amazon. I think it's like some fancy manufacturer. What's that? Brookstone or something like that. But it's a blade fan. And this thing, it just shoots it right along that, like one of those Dyson blades. And it runs off USB. It's like 1 volt or something. It uses almost no power. And it's just awesome. It puts a ton of air out. And basically, I'll just mount it right like this on my little line. And then it goes right in the window. Actually, I have it the other way. It's like this. And then that blade just kind of, boom, shoots right out like this. And it puts just a like ice cold beam of air that pulls it right in from the outside. And then if it's like super hot, I can use my swamp cooler that I showed you earlier and put the swamp cooler in front of it. So then the swamp cooler is putting out really cold air, and then this blows right over the top of it. And man, I've been in like 105 degree, heat waves, and as difficult as it is to sleep in your car during that, it's kept it cool. It's kept it livable. So it's been nice. So I should stop saying there's one more thing, because there's one more thing, and then there's going to be probably one more thing after that too. So I got these speakers. These things are pretty rad. I don't even know where I found these things. Actually, let me take them off their little hook right here. Oh, that broke. That's too bad. But these things are pretty great. I think I found them at like a Love's truck stop or something for just super cheap. But they're Bluetooth speakers that have magnets on the bottom, and they got I've got the cable up front to charge them both. They got just a little basic battery, USB-C. But what's nice is that, you can magnetize and throw them on whatever you want. So I put them on the top of my car. You can have like that, so you can have a nice little stereo if you want. I don't often do that. I can put it in my tent, or you can just kind of keep them together in this nice little rubber case, and then you got a little boombox speaker right there. And just kind of play them like that, mounted together. And this thing's actually pretty great. They put a good amount of sound out, and if you want to just have a little thing to listen to music, they work out pretty good. And then one last thing, the shovel. Keep it down here. I think we all know what that's for. Does a good job digging a hole. The back of the platform, we'll lift up the bed a little bit, looks like this. What I did was, I got this on top is a floor mat, a kitchen rubber floor mat that just keeps it kind of nice and cushioned. This above this, this is a topper for a cot. So again, all off Amazon, like 15 bucks each or something like that. But this basically keeps the bed, the inflatable mattress, from getting any kind of damage to it, from popping. It also just is a nice little soft thing to be on. This is what really keeps it nice and like insulated as well. Not that insulation's much of an issue here, but really just keeps it soft. And then under here, we've got the 3/4 inch plywood. This is the back side of that panel. That's the 3-way panel. And you can see it fits just in here between these boxes. Again, no build. I can pull this whole thing on out if I want. And then I basically can have the whole bed out. This whole platform here, you can see, is ratchet strapped in right here into the little strap things they got on the back. And that basically holds this whole thing down. So it's super secure, locked in. It ain't going anywhere. The bed stays on top of that, and you don't have any problems. My only challenge left with the Ford Flex is that the 3rd row of seats, which are underneath this whole back part, are pretty much unremovable. The way that they're held in is with a big bar that goes underneath all the paneling on the inside. So basically, to take it out, you kind of have to take your whole car apart. And that's way more work than I want to do. So unfortunately, I really can't take out the back row, the 3rd row seats. So this is why I have the platform on here. If you kind of look under, I don't want to take it off, but if you look down there, you can actually see right here, there's a little black thing. That black part under there is actually the 3rd seats. They're all pocket seats that are folded down. And then below that, I have my spare tire. So I do still have the spare tire in here. And again, I can just pop off the ratchet strap pretty quickly to be able to pop this. I just basically lift this whole thing up. I pull up the bed, lift up the platform, and I can get in and pull out my tire. So I still have access to the tire when I need it. But if I had my druthers, I'd take out that 3rd row seat because it would give me an extra, God, I don't know, 3/4 of a foot this whole back area. It would open up a lot of space. So if I could, I would do that. And because also it would drop the bed. So if you have a Ford Flex and you're able to do that, I would recommend it because you could actually get a lot more headroom too. That's the only problem here is that I can sleep in here, I can lay down, but I really can't sit up at all. It's not big enough for me to really do much beyond sleeping in and then getting into that little side area and kind of moving around when I'm on my knees. This is not a setup to have as a couch. You cannot do work back here. You really can't, you know, it's difficult to live back here. It's something where it's great for sleeping. In fact, I find it more comfortable than like a couch or anything like that. I'd rather sleep on this most often than anything else. But you know, it's really just for sleeping. You know, other than that, I try to be outside of it. I try to do my work, writing on my desk or something outside the vehicle. And basically, like many people do in this size vehicle, I just use it to go to bed. Okay, so I'm gonna jump on in so you can see kind of how it works for someone my size. I'll take off my shoes because I don't like to wear my shoes inside my car. But just crawl on in. And normally I can also just pop right over the back if I want to from the side. And yeah, I mean, there you go. I'm 6'3", and you can see it actually works great. I've got a lot of space in here. I've got another probably 2 or 3 inches down at the bottom. I've got space up top here. And actually it's really super comfortable. I have like another big pillow that I'll kind of put up against this window, just to kind of like a little bit of insulation, but I don't need it. Let me show you how the whole thing blacks out. Basically, so I can do like this. I'll just kind of roll in here, lay in the back. I have like all these little clippy deals. Just boom, clip that on there. Take this one, clip it on over here. Like this one, clip it back here, boom, and you can see, blackout. It's pretty rad. And I kind of do the same thing all the way around. I'll pull this back, do it down there. And even though it's not perfect all the way up, I'm not really turning on lights at night. So just like using my phone or whatever, pulling up my fancy glasses. Look at my cool glasses here. There we go. Take my cool glasses. And I got my phone. Where's my phone? Uh-oh. Oh, my phone on me. But whatever, you got it. I'll use my phone like this. And it works great. So I'm one of the co-founders of the National Vehicle Residency Collective. We are a legal advocacy group that works to fight for the civil rights and the property rights of people who live in their vehicles, either part-time, full-time, or just temporarily. The fact is that many people who live in their vehicles, if you have to park in public spaces, you are subject to getting tickets, you're subject to having your vehicle impounded, and also to a lot of sort of discrimination and bias for people's choice of housing. So what our work does is it brings together people who are living in their vehicles, people who are running parking programs, spaces for people who live in vehicles, and people who are policymakers, researchers, and legal advocates to do the sort of larger work around defending the rights of vehicle residents. We work alongside the Home on Wheels Alliance that obviously runs the River Tramp Rendezvous, where they're sort of really doing the community organization and really creating a space for the community. We're trying to create a space for the legal advocacy and the larger sort of policy advocacy work to help protect the rights of vehicle residents. You can learn more at vehicleresidency.org. You can email me at graham@vehicleresidency.org. And if you go to our website, you can even join one of our work groups. So if you are someone who lives in your vehicle, if you run a parking program or you're looking to start one, or you're a policymaker who wants to learn more, or you're a researcher doing work around this, come to our site at vehicleresidency.org, go to the sign up section, and there's a little thing where you can join. There's no work that we require of anyone who joins. We have meetings once a month. If they're about 2-hour meetings, you can kind of learn more about the work we do. And if you want to get involved more from there, we can go from there. So our collective, we had our first summit, the National Vehicle Residency Summit, last November. We had 450 people attend from all across the country, about a third of which were people living in vehicles, a third of which are policymakers, and a third of which are people running parking programs. So it achieved our goals of that. We're going to keep on building this work throughout 2023. We invite you to attend and invite you to join us at the 2023 National Vehicle Residency Summit.
Be sure to check out Adventure Know-How, my new site, where you can gain access to a map of all of my free campsites, plus monthly bonus videos that you won't find anywhere else. Learn more at adventureknowhow.com. And for links to everything else SUV RVing related, visit suvrving.com. Links to these sites and more will be in the video description.